the Zohar. What is he doing there? Hashem is bringing about this rendezvous between her and Yitzhak. Yitzhak would often, because of his spiritual attributes, go outside the town, find a field, empty area vacant of men, and pray to God. Hitbodedut. Okay? He would pray to God. He was a true man of fear of God, and he served Hashem, and he was very close to Hashem, cleaving on to God through his prayer, through his cleaving on his dveikut to Hashem. And the Midrash says, on this pasuk that I'm about to read right now in Samech Gimel, verse 63 of this chapter 25, it says, Vayitze Yitzhak, here it is, he left the town, he went out. To do what? Lasuach basadeh. Lasuach, many of the Rishonim, we see King David using the same verb. The Talmud says, and I'm quoting, Ein sicha ela tefila. Sicha, like vegetation, a siach, the productive prayer of Yitzhak Avinu was so productive, was so fulfilling, uplifting him, changing his inner being. So he's praying to God. When? In the afternoon hours, lifnot arev. The day has passed. My work has been finished. I have to right now generate spiritual power into my being. The tfilat mincha, as Chazal say, he as if enacted tfilat mincha, and is getting close to God as the sun is about to fall. Vaisa einav, he lifts up his eyes. Vayar, v'inei gmalim bayim. So what? He doesn't know who they are. And he continues in Be'er Lachai Ro'i, which is a place of Gilui Shechina, the revelation of the divine presence. That's why he goes back to there. That's where God appeared to Hagar and Yishmael. Where there's a place that's noted for God's appearance, God's revelation, he uses that as a place for prayer. Hitbodedut, the Netziv says. Now, when he's doing that, okay, when he's doing that and he's praying there, the Midrash says he lifted up his arms. Imagine one person in the field, his arms are lifted up towards the sky, and who's getting closer? Rivka. Now, was she used to praying by the Shtibelach, by the small synagogues in downtown Haran? Did she go see people praying? No. She never saw in her life a person praying. Especially not a person praying like this. What kind of impact does it have on her?
What is he going to do?
Beautiful. Samech Dalet 64. Vatisa Rivka teinah. She too is looking in front of herself. Who's up front? Who's those tens of meters away? Vatera et Yitzchak. Although the Chumash says she saw Yitzchak, how can it say she saw Yitzchak if in the next pasuk she's asking, who is it? Okay? It could be that she was told about Yitzchak. And she's not certain perhaps, but when she sees that's Yitzchak and what he's doing, Fatipol Me'al Hagamal. Was there a banana peel there that the camel slipped and that's why she fell? No. Why did she fall? She's astounded. She's in a state of awe. She never saw such a spiritual event that she sees right now, and she falls. And then she makes to sure, she asks in Pasuk Samechei, Vatomer el ha'eved, mi ha'ish halazeh, ha'olech basadeh lekratenu. Vayomer ha'eved, hu Adoni. Now she's certain. After seeing him praying, and now that he's walking towards this this group of camels with people. And I want it to be clear to all of us that when he was praying, our sages say he was like a divine angel, like a malach Elokim. Okay? His hands spread out. And she's full of fear. She's afraid. She doesn't know exactly what she's afraid of. But to see the scene, okay? He's not sitting down on a beach chair, having a beer and smoking a camel. No one's laughing. Okay, no one knows. What? Yeah. Oh, so at least one person knows it. Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay. And therefore, she is really taken. Hashem, who knows what's going to happen not only later today, but tomorrow and in a year and in 100 years and on, has created a situation where the marital relationship of Rivka and Yitzhak will not be like the marital relationship between Sarah and Avraham. There was communication, there was sharing, speaking. We're going to learn that there are events that are going to happen that Rivka will know, will prophetically receive, in fact, but she will not share it with Yitzhak for whatever reasons. And one of the reasons will be the awe, the fear that she has from Yitzhak Avinu, who is so great in Yirat Shamayim. And now that they meet after this awe, what does she do? Vatikach, at the end of Samechei, do you see it? Vatikachat sa'if vatitkas. Why? Nachon, she has modesty. She didn't play around with the boys there. But she's performing quite a custom of modesty that was very, very what? Accepted. When you're in front of a man, that so much fear and awe you have of him, his greatness, of his divinity, such romemut, that you can't stand in front of him. She seems that she must cover her face even. She can't even look upon him. Vatikachat sa'if, she takes a scarf and she covers herself. Okay? These failings, okay, will cause a certain type of relationship between Rivka and her husband during the years of marriage. It will not be a revealed relationship like Sarah had with her husband Avraham or Rachel had with her husband Rivka, but rather when she wants to get what she wants to have later on, she will not be able to tell her husband and ask for it. She'll have to do it through roundabout ways. You might even call it ways which are similar to deception, not kosher ways. And it's all part of a divine plan, a divine program. So here, she's now becoming the wife of Yitzhak, and she is not with Yitzhak, as we see in other relationships between patriarchs and matriarchs. And now, who's talking to who? Pasuk Samech Vav. Vayisaper ha'eved liYitzchak. She's not telling the story. He, the Eved, is telling the story. Okay? And what is he telling her? Can you imagine what the Eved is sharing with Yitzchak and not Avram Avinu? We left Avram Avinu, we finished with accounts written in the Chumash. We're going to learn that he takes this wife, but nothing to do. We don't know when he took this wife. Maybe he did it even before, and he's passed away already. What do you think the Eved chooses to tell Yitzchak? His prayer. How special she is. How modest she is. How full of amazing kindness she is. Okay? And that she loves to do chesed on a wonderful framework and an unbelievable volume that she does outstandingly. When Yitzchak hears all these things, Pasuk Samech Zayin, the last pasuk of our chapter. Vayevi'eh Yitzchak ha'ohala Sarai imo. Vayikach et Rivka vatihilo liisha vayehavea vayinachem Yitzhak acharei imo. Interesting. He brings her into the tent, and the tent is Sarai imo. Does it have to be the only meaning, the tent of Sarah? That's the simple meaning. By the way, we can understand that they traveled. From this meeting in Be'er Lachai Roi, to which town do you think they arrived?
Hebron.
To Hebron. Because the tent of Sarah, she was living before she passed away in Hebron. That the Radak says that when they arrived to Hebron, he brought her into the oel of his mother Sarah, that she should have the inheritance of the tent of the mother, her mother-in-law here. And it's now, the marriage is consummated. Vayikach et Rivka, the word lakachat, you should know, is the subject one in the Gemara of the beginning of our Parsha. A lot is talked about in the Talmud, the power and the law of acquisition, acquiring. How do you acquire a wife? Okay, so we learn kicha mistei Ephron. The acquisition of money, which is written in the book of Dvarim, and the taking of Sarai Imenu, and the taking of the Machpelah, with money. So the common word is lakachat, and the code language we were given, the 13 tools taught to Rabbi Ishmael, which is elaborated in the Siddur at the end of the sacrificial area. Rabbi Ishmael Omer, HaTorah Nidreshet Bishlosha Asar. What's the next word? Midot, thank you. These 13 midot are methods of learning, methods of arriving to halachic conclusions, legal conclusions. One of the 13 is Egzera Shava. Literal translation, a common decree. What does it mean? One word common to two different subjects. Whatever the law is in subject A, which is written definitively, will now be carried over to section B, where the law is not written there. Okay? The law of marriage, Vayikach, the word Vayikach is written in marriage in the book of Deuteronomy. The law of buying a field with money is written here. So just like you can buy property by paying money, and that acquires for you the land, so too money can acquire a woman in marriage. That's the words kicha, the common word lakachat, in two different areas, from the laws of Sdei Ephron, the field of Ephron. So that is the first subject studied in Masechet Kiddushin, in the Talmud Masechet Kiddushin, how the Mishnah states, and I'm quoting, Ha'isha nikneit b'shalosh drachim. A woman can be acquired in three ways: bekesef, b'shtar, u'b'biyah. Either through money acquiring, or a promissory note, or through marital relations. And the first subject is learned through acquiring a field by money from Ephron. Avram weighed money, handed it over to Ephron, and by doing so, he bought the Machpelah plus the field, which is the beginning of for the Jewish people, purchasing land in Israel that no one can tell us otherwise. So that is a technique, by the way. We are not allowed to make up a Gzera Shava. A Kal V'chomer use logic to deduce a certain halachic conclusion, you can use simple logic. Kal v'chomer. If the law is in this light case this way, the law will certainly be in the severe case. That you can do by yourself. But gzera shava, the Talmud says, ein adam dan gzera shava elim ken kibel mirabo. A person cannot utilize this tool unless he received it from his Rav. Oh, where did his Rav get it from? His Rav. And where did that Rav get it from? All the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu, exactly. We're not allowed to use this device by ourselves. That's the Gzera Shava. When, God willing, you start learning Gemara and so on and so forth, you get to meet up with this concept. Rivka is his wife. He loves her. And now he has comfort. Menachem Yitzhak acharei imo. Interesting that the Torah shares with us that he really didn't have nechama for quite a while until he marries her, until he lives with her. Why? Because the future of the house of Avram Avinu is if there's going to be a wife who's righteous, God-fearing, similar to Sarah Imenu. When you see a future is more open for you, rather than not seeing the future, you're consoled. Today, we have thousands and thousands of Jewish families all across the country, whether they are the nucleus family of the more than 1,400 and now 300 plus soldiers, civilians and soldiers, close to 2,000 that were killed in this war. We can't even imagine the parents, the grandparents, the uncles and the aunts and the brothers and sisters and the neighbors and the schoolmates. So many were murdered and so many knew them. Where's the consolation? It's so hard. The pain is so difficult. So first of all, Am Yisrael is trying to hug as much as possible. People are visiting them and bringing them things, and it's a very hard time for them, of course. But the more we feel for them, sense their loss, and realize that it's part of us. It happened to us. It should never happen to us personally, but we're part of the nation. We have to feel their loss. We can't say, we're not pointing fingers at anyone. It's not at all. We should never have to know such a terrible thing. Okay? But God willing, the country is going to have to rebuild these towns, help out these families, and give them some signs for the future that what was, and now we have to start again. A lot of people are going to start life again with so many losses, with such an abyss, so much lacking. And we're going through a difficult time. But remember, all these difficult times is in order to go forward. We often have to step back. Did you ever watch a track runner run a race? How does he start the race? He goes backwards, puts his feet in a certain position, and only because he goes backwards, then is he spring forward, right? So that's how things manage. So too on a national scene, on a big national scene, the nation is springing back in order to go forward. And we have no doubt that Am Yisrael is doing a very proper thing right now. And this has to bring in the future nechama, consolation to these families, although it's still the trauma that they've gone through, what they've seen, what they heard, and all these matters. It's like unbelievable pain. We can't imagine the terrific trauma that they're doing. But we see that there is nechama. Yitzhak has nechama after the loss of Sarah Imenu. She was the mother of the world. She brought peace and love and hosting and doing chesed for Avram Avinu. Now, we're now in the light. The first couple are finished, more or less. And we're now ready for the second line of the three patriarchs and the four matriarchs. And we're going to learn about Yitzhak and Rivka. And we're going to learn about what is their portion in the building of the Jewish people. What are they doing? How are they unique? How are they similar? How are they different? That's what we're learning the Chumash for. That's what we're learning all these commentaries. But we're learning it in order to internalize it in our minds, in our hearts, their behavior, their speech, their action, their great fear, their great belief in God. All of these things are written because it's applicable for us. It's not a history book. And we read it each and every year to try to emulate. These are our stars. No one should be insulted regarding Elvis Presley whatsoever. Please don't be. Or the Beatles, I don't know who you're talking about, right? We're talking here that Avram and Sarah and Yitzhak and now Rivka are our heroes. And we have to go and approach life situations, internalizing their attributes, using their great faith and belief and their confidence, and running and managing our private lives, our employment lives, our marital lives, and especially our national lives in this way. B'ezrat Hashem, Am Yisrael should have a lot of nechama. God willing, we should be able to wipe out the enemy above ground and underground. B'ezrat Hashem in the best way, and safety for all our soldiers. B'ezrat Hashem.